This video will describe the features that are associated with nouns. So we'll come here, and here are the features associated with nouns. We'll talk about these one by one. Okay, number. The values are singular, dual, trial, quadrial, pocal, and plural. Pocal means a few, like I read a few books. So those are clear. Participant tracking. First mention is when we're bringing something onto the discourse stage. A book is on the table. And then routine is when it's already on the discourse stage and now we're talking about it. The book is on the table. Integration, exiting, restaging, and offstage, we haven't been using those four values. When we look at Professor Longacre's book on discourse analysis, he said languages do use these values, but none of the languages we've worked in have used them, and we haven't been setting them, but someday we will. Generic, we do use this value. God created men and women, for example. Interrogative, which book did John read? And frame inferable, I bought a car, the steering wheel was broken. So we use those. Polarity, only two values, affirmative and negative. Negative is like, no man has seen God. Proximity, near speaker and listener. Near speaker, near listener, those are all clear. Remote within sight, remote out of sight. These are used in direct quotes when people are actually talking to each other and they're talking about things in the physical environment. Temporally near, for example, this weekend we will go to the mall, so we say this weekend. Temporally remote, that year we went to China, so that year. Contextually near with focus. So this is something, it's on the discourse stage, but it might be abstract. It's not necessarily physical. For example, when God is making a covenant with Noah, he says, I am making this covenant with you. So this covenant, contextually near with focus. Contextually near may or may not be in a direct quote. For example, when God created those plants, and he saw that those plants were good. Okay, that's not a direct quote. They're not remote within sight or anything like that. God made the plant. God created the plants, and he saw that those plants were good. That's where we would use contextually near. Those plants. All of these are marked with demonstratives. This or that in English. These are those. Future expansion, we don't use it all. That's just empty for future expansion. Person. First, second, third, first inclusive, first exclusive. Surface realization. Okay, we only use these first three values. Actually, we only use the first two values in the semantic representations. All the nouns are set to a surface realization value of noun. This is how your pronoun rules look at this feature and the values. And initially, they're all set to noun. We will set a noun, for example, John 1:1. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. We want to repeat the Word, the Word, the Word. So we will set those to always a noun. If you want, your grammar can override that, and if you want pronouns there, then you can generate pronouns. But that's a place where we would use always a noun. Okay, big pro. There are no big pros in the semantic representations, but big pro, that's a term that linguists use. It means syntactically active but phonetically null. For example, in English we say, John wants to read that book. Okay, we would analyze that as John and the verb want, and then John read book. So we always provide an agent noun phrase in the complement clause, and we have a specific sense of want that we only use when the agent of the matrix clause and the agent of the complement clause are co-referential, when they're identical. So for this sense of want, we would set John in the complement clause. We would mark that as big pro, meaning it's still there, but in the surface, there's nothing there. It's syntactically active but phonetically null. So then your grammar should produce something like John wants to read that book. And John is still there. He's still the agent of that complement clause. But he's realized with big pro, meaning there's no surface content. So that's Big Pro. We include it in our set of features so that you can use it, but we never mark any nouns as Big Pro. You will need to provide your own values. Again, the values in blue are provided by the user for the target language. If your language uses personal pronouns and reflexive pronouns and reciprocal pronouns and possessive pronouns, locative pronouns, etc., you provide these values, and you will write rules that set a noun's surface realization to one of these values, and then your pronoun rules can look at these values and provide the proper surface forms. Participant status. These again come from one of Professor Longacre's books on discourse analysis. We do set protagonist and antagonist. These others, major participant, minor participant, major prop, minor prop, we haven't been setting those. We do set significant location and significant time. Typically, in I think all the languages we've worked in, if it's a significant time, then that oblique noun phrase is fronted to the front of the sentence, and with significant location. Those can also be fronted to the beginning of the sentence. Insignificant location, we don't mark that. So these four, and insignificant location, we haven't been marking. And the rest are spares. Recently, we've added some new values to two of the nouns features, and I'd like to tell you about those here. First, let's go to noun person. Previously, we had first, second, third, first inclusive, and first exclusive. We've added four new values. First is third, second is third, first inclusive is third, and first exclusive is third. These are used when the speaker refers to either himself or the listener in the third person. For example, let's look over here. First is third. That's when the speaker refers to himself in the third person. For example, occasionally Jesus says something like, "You will see the Son of Man coming in the clouds." He's referring to himself, the Son of Man, in the third person. In Joshua 5:14, the NIV says, "What message does my Lord have for his servant?" So Joshua is speaking here to, it's the captain of the Lord's army. The Bible says it's a man. I think probably it's an angel. But Joshua is speaking to this person, and he says, "What message does my Lord," meaning you, "have for his servant?" So his servant, that's actually Joshua referring to himself. He's being very humble here. So he refers to himself in the third person. So we would tag servant here as the person value would be first as third. And you can see that here. Here we are at Joshua 5:14, the last sentence. Then Joshua asked that man, my master, we say, "Will my master tell a message to your servant?" Servant here is actually Joshua. So we tag the person as first as third. Joshua is referring to himself in the third person. And then we also, in that very same sentence, we have an example of second as third. What message does my Lord? So Lord, Joshua is talking to this person and refers to him as my Lord. So we would normally say you. What message do you have for me? So we've tagged Lord as second as third. And we can see that here. We use master rather than Lord. But you can see that the person value is second as third. And then two other values. First inclusive as third. We don't have an example of that one yet. But then the fourth one, first exclusive as third. We have an example in Joshua 9:9. The NIV says, "Your servants have come." A group of men are talking to Joshua, and these are the Gibeonites, and they're tricking Joshua and the Israelites, making the Israelites thinking that this group of men has come from far away. And so these men say, "Your servants have come from a very distant country." Normally we would say, "We have come from a very distant country." But these people are being humble, so they refer to themselves in third person. So this would be first person exclusive as third person. So servants would be marked as first exclusive as third. And then there's one other new value under participant status. We've added a new value called emphasized. And just one new value. For example, in Genesis 45:8, the NIV says, "So then, it was not you who sent me here, but God." Okay, Joseph is talking to his brothers, and he's emphasizing them. It was not you who sent me. We would analyze that in TBTA as, you emphasized, you did not send me here, but God sent me here. And these two nouns would be tagged as emphasized. Now in English, to emphasize these nouns, we generate a cleft construction. So in TBTA's English, we added a rule to produce a cleft construction whenever a participant is emphasized. So now, the English generated by TBTA says, it was not you who sent me here, but it was God who sent me here. So that's how we emphasize the you and the God. And we can only tag one noun. As we're analyzing the Bible, we only tag one noun per sentence as being emphasized. At most. Most sentences don't have any emphasized nouns. But if there is one, there will only be one in that sentence. So those are the new feature values that we've added to nouns.